Hello, friends and family. It's Clint Stoker. I'm here to talk about Donald DeLay. That's right. On Twitter, he goes by Fathead. I know him as the artist of Dracula, actually. And he has been up to something. He's trolling writers and editors. This isn't the first time he's done it. I've seen this several times, and I think everyone should be very upset. I will tell you exactly why. But before we get into that, first, check out Dracula. It's in the link in the description below. Check out the campaign. We're already funded. We passed 10,000, 11,000, in fact, in the first 24 hours. And now we need your help as we enter the mid campaign. Please spread the word. And if you would like to read about a modern take on a vampire overlord, also called, he is a absolute menace. And he's secretive, and he makes John Harker's life miserable. He's an interesting character. Anyway, check it out. It's in the link in the description below. I got to work on my pitch on that one. Jeez. Anyway, so Donald DeLay said, I love trolling writers and editors. Of course, artists should do both, and color too, while they're at it. Artists really are just perfect at everything. And this is super tongue in cheek. I'm starting here because I don't want you to get upset. He's trolling. And I think there's some truth to what he's saying. I think he knows there's some truth to what he's saying. And at the same time, he understands that those are all hard and difficult skills. But I'll show you where this all started. So this guy on Twitter posted, in quotes, the best part of making your own comic is no editors. And then his end quote, his comment is, trust me, that's part of the problem for many indie comics. So hold on here. Are editors the problem, or the lack thereof? Is that artists or writers do not want to listen to anybody. They want to do it their own way. It doesn't matter what an editor has to say about it. Some of the comments on here, very, very true. I go to friends for their critiques, and they give them, and then I listen to them. It actually lets me improve a lot. I'm going to stop there, though, because friends telling you what's wrong with your story is not the same as an editor. Does an editor have special powers that no one else does? No. But what an editor is they're a third party that does not give a rip about you personally. I mean, they might, be happy that you are alive and you haven't died in a terrible accident, but they don't really care about you and your feelings. They're there as a third party. If you can find friends that can do that, that's fantastic. But two, editors also understand story structure. If an editor is hired to look at your story structure and tell you what's wrong with it, that's what that editor should do. Now, not all editors do that. In fact, for me, I'll hire editors to do different things. And if I want a story editor to help me work on the story, like I did with Dracula, it was very, very helpful to go through that level. Hiring an editor to go through word by word and line edit is also an important editor, but it is a different skill set. Can you find editors that have both of those skills? Absolutely, they exist for sure. But you have to understand if your friends are capable of doing that. All right, so how so? Please explain. I've seen comics with embarrassing grammatical errors that a good editor could have prevented. I've seen scripts where the dialogue was assigned to the wrong character that a good editor will catch. I can't even read. I've seen panel descriptions that contradicted the dialogue order. So all of these issues, an editor could spot. These are actually issues that pretty much anyone could spot, and they will spot. It's being careful to look through it, having a second pair of eyes. But that is not an editor. So here's where Donald DeLay comes in. The rascal. He quote tweets this guy about the best part of editors, and Donald says, editors are kind of pointless if you have spell check. Holy smokes. What what a generalization. Here's a response. The number of errors I've seen in CG tells me this is diluted. Well, yeah. So spell check's one thing. When you think about it, if you're editing it and technically an Adobe product does have a spell check, but it's not automatically turned on. You're going to have to actually run through the process. Again, clearly, you're going to have to look at a number of things besides spell check. But the underlying point here, I think that everyone falls into is that I think that Donal is trying to underline how, as comics as a medium, how important the artist is. And that artists, being very capable people, learning a very difficult skill, can learn how to do other things. Why does Donal work with writers at all then? All right, so same comment here. The number of errors I've seen in CG tells me this is diluted. Donal says, must have been books with editors. Hold on a second. Hold on. I actually think Donal's right here, which is the sad thing. The fact that everyone thinks that anyone can be an editor or friends and family, and they're just going to be looking for those kinds of mistakes with the balloons going to the wrong person and whatnot. If you think that that is an editor and the skills they bring to the table, you're going to have mistakes. That's an editor can do that, but it's beyond that. So Donal's actually right here. Let's see what Otis Frampton has to say to that. A bigger error would be for a comic creator to not create his or her comic because they don't have an editor. Make that comic and get it into the world. Don't sit and wait for approval from anyone. That's actually a super good point too, because if you're afraid that your comic book's going to have mistakes, therefore you're not going to put it out, you're not going to put it out until it's absolutely perfect, you're never going to put the book out. Even if you pay very close attention to every single little detail in a book, there's still endless fiddling that you could do and trying to fix it, and so on and so on. All right. And then that leads us here. I love trolling writers and editors. Of course, artists should do both, and color too, while they're at it. Artists are really just perfect at everything. Yeah. And isn't that the opinion of, I'm not talking about the artists, really. That is a stereotype. Maybe some artists actually think that way, but it is a stereotype of artists. And it's also perhaps a stereotype or a belief that's held by readers. It could be. Here's a response here. As long as you aren't too locked in on everything and don't marry yourself to ideas that may not work, you can act as your own editor. You can do a lot of editing yourself. I think I do a lot of story editing myself, but I still need help from an editor here and there. I am not too proud to admit that. Anyway, Donal DeLay is actually pretty fun to follow on Twitter because he'll come up with really interesting concepts that make people talk. And most of the time, he's just having fun with it. He's also a fantastic artist, top-notch artist, in fact, and he did the interior art here on Dracula. Very happy to have worked with him. Really fun character design, super moody. I don't want to tell you too much about the story because I don't want to give things away, but it's very fun. It has some relation to the modern day, and Dracula to me is a little bit based off Jeffrey Epstein, a modern Dracula. Rich guy, very powerful, also pretty evil. So check it out. It's in the link in the description below, and I'll see you in the next video.